Hey, 8th grade. So our learning target today is I can calculate a POI using equations. We're going to look at the same 3 skate options that we looked at yesterday, and we're going to look for a POI to decide when it would make most sense to go to each of those locations. So we have rock and roll, which had a $100 starting amount and $3 per skater. We had grade skate was just $5 per skater. And then we had fun skate that had a flat fee of $280 up to 60 people. So that's if the number of people are less than or equal to 60, this is what we would pay. And then if we exceed 60, we'd pay $2 per additional person. So that's assuming that the values are 60 or greater. Okay. So we're looking for POI. So this is a multi-step equation that's going to happen here with a variable on both sides. So we have the POI for rock and roll and grade skate. So we really want to know when do they cost the same amount of money at the same amount of time. So this is the number of people, and then this is how much money will it cost. So we have the y equals y scenario. We drop the y, set the equations equal. So rock and roll, we have 100 plus 3x. When is that going to be the same as the grade skate price of 5x? So 100 plus 3x equals 5x. So when will they equal each other? So this is the hand method, variable on both sides. So we're going to subtract 3x because it's the smallest variable part, copy paste. If I haven't used it, drag it down, we get 100 equals 2x. So our job is to solve for the variable x. In doing so, we're going to divide by 2, copy paste. And we get 50 equals x. So when the number of people equals 50, it's the same cost at rock and roll and skate, grade skate, which we've confirmed yesterday in our table. We saw that in our table yesterday. So if we go back to our table yesterday at 50 people, we notice that these here are the exact same price at grade skate and rock and roll, same price. So now, what is the cost at that time? So we would take that 50 and we would substitute it back into one of the equations. So I have two choices of the equations. I can use either y equals 100 plus 3x or y equals 5x. This one's a little bit smaller, so I'm going to take this and substitute the 50 back in. So we have y equals $5 per person. So we have $5 times 50 people, sorry, looking at what I'm substituting in here, 50 people, it would be $250. So for 50 people, it would be $250. Now you can confirm it in the other equation here, just to make sure it's $100 at the beginning, $3 for 50 people. That would be $150 for skating, and 100 at the beginning is that $250. So the POI is 50 people cost $250, known as a point of intersection. Now we saw it in the table, I just showed you that, and it also is a place that the two lines hit each other in the graph, known as POI. Looking for the POI now of these two places, when will they cost the same amount of money at the same amount of time? So we drop our y's, we take 5x then, and we set it equal to, we drop our y's to 280, scenario number 1. So as we start to solve, so this is fun skate number 1. So if we have less than or equal to, that's if we have less than or equal to 60 people, that scenario. Hand method kicks in here. We're going to go ahead and divide by 5, copy, paste, and we end up with x is equal to 56. So we bring exactly 56 people to the skate party. We will pay the same amount of money, $280, whether we're going to grade skate or fun skate. Now you can take that 56 and substitute in here. And now there isn't an x to substitute in there. So we just know it's $56 and it costs $280. That's for fun skate option number 1. If we bring less than or equal to 60 people, it's just a flat rate of $280. We'll talk about what about if we exceed that down here when x is greater than or equal to 60 people in just a second. So let's compare rock and roll and fun skate number 1. So rock and roll, fun skate number 1. So we take our y's and drop the y, set the equations equal to each other. So rock and roll, drop the y would leave us with a 100 plus 3x. When does that equal fun skate number 1? Fun skate number 1 is $280. So go ahead and write that. Now, if I'm going too fast, go ahead and pause that video. If you have a sub today, you should just ask the sub very politely, respectfully, if they would pause that video. Hand method kicks in, then take your hand, cover the variable, anything attached. We subtract 100, copy, paste. Working left to right then, we end up with 3x equals 180. Divide by 3, copy, paste, and we get x equals 60. x equals 60. So we have 60. The number of people is 60. What is the cost when the number of people is 60? So as we substitute back into one of the equations we can either do the equation fun skate or the equation rock and roll. I'll take the equation of rock and roll. The equation of rock and roll was y equals 100 plus $3 per person. If we bring 60 people, that's $100 at the beginning, $3 for 60 people, $100 at the beginning, and $180 for the people would be $280 it would cost us to bring 60 people. So the intersection would be 60 people. It's the exact same cost. It does not matter if you go to rock and roll or fun skate number 1. It's the same cost. We saw that intersection in our table and our graph in our work yesterday. So our last one, our POI of the rock and roll and fun skate number 2. Now this is that second option of fun skate. This scenario up here that we were just talking about, what if I bring more than 60 people, then what happens? We have this equation then. We have to pay $2 for each person I bring over 60. So we drop those y's and set the equations equal to each other. So we'd have rock and roll is 100 plus 3x on the left. When does that equal? The equation on the right is 280. That's for the first 60 people. Now, and once we exceed that, it'd be 2 times all of the people past 60, all the additional people over 60, which is why we're subtracting off the first 60 people right here. It's going to be a distributive property that's going to kick in here. So we have a lonely variable. We stop, chop, chop. Killing that parenthesis then, we're going to distribute, gives us 2x plus. We're going to distribute here, gives us negative 120. So we have 280 plus 2x plus a negative 120. If I haven't used it, oh, sorry about that. I have some issues here. If I haven't used it, drag it down. So we have 100 plus 3x equals everything on the right there. Combine like terms then, so we're going to go ahead and combine those terms that are like. That's 280 combined with a negative 120. So when I combine those, we end up with 160. If I haven't used it, drag it down, plus 2x. On the left-hand side, we have 100 plus 3x. Hand method then kicks in. Smallest variable goes, so we're going to subtract 2x, copy, paste. Working left to right, 100 plus 1x equals, if I haven't used it, drag it down. Solving hand method then, we're going to subtract 100, copy, paste. And there we have it, guys. We just drag that down. We get x equals 60. So for 60 people, it is the same price no matter where you go. How much is it, though? So that first equation that I'm going to substitute in for is the rock and roll equation. The rock and roll equation is y equals 100 plus 3x. How much does it cost for 60 people? Substitute in. That's 100 plus 3 times 60. 100 plus 3 times 60 is 100 plus 180 is $280. So there is a POI of 60, 180 between rock and roll and fun skate number 2. So that means it doesn't matter where you go. It's going to be the same cost. Notice that these two answers match, and they should because of they're both being compared with the same two places, just different options. At 60 people, exact same cost. Okay, so let's turn to the next page and we'll get you kind of started on the movie theater scenario here. So movies theater scenario, if we go back and look at our old equations from this scenario, we had that it was $4 per person and $120 to get in at Oakdale Carmike. At Marcus Theater, we knew that it was $6 per person. At Woodbury Theater, it costs exactly $440, and that is assuming that you are bringing less than or equal to 80 people. Then it's just the cost of $440. However, if you bring more than 80 people, it's $440. You still have to pay that. Plus, you have to pay $3 for every person beyond that. So that means we're going to subtract off in this part right here, the first 80 people. And that's only true if x is greater than or equal to 80. We subtract off the first 80 people, and then we pay $3 per person beyond that. So we have a point of intersection situation here. We're going to have a multi-step equation. We're going to subtract the smallest variable on both sides. So what we have here is we drop the y's. We have Oakdale Cinema is 4x plus 120. We drop off Marcus, which is 6x, so we drop the y's and set them equal to each other. Everybody should be doing that. Hand method kicks in, so we're going to subtract 4x, copy, paste. Working left to right then. If I haven't used it, drag it down. So we get 120 equals 2x. Our job is to get the variable all alone. We're wanting to know how many people do we bring, then where it doesn't matter, either Oakdale or Marcus Theater. Divide by 2, copy, paste. It's 60 people. So if we're bringing 60 people, it does not matter which place we go. It's a tie. What we need to know next, though, is what is the cost. So I'm going to take the second equation there for Marcus. But you can really, the reality is you can substitute back into either equation. You can substitute into Oakdale for x or Marcus for x. So we substitute back in. So we get y equals 6x. I'm going to use the second one. $6 for 60 people is $360. So if we bring 60 people, it does not matter. We go to Oakdale, or Marcus, it's $360 either way. Now we're going to compare Marcus and Woodbury number 1, the first Woodbury, which means we're bringing less than or equal to 80 people. So we take our Marcus equation, drop the y is 6x. We took our Woodbury equation, drop the y is 440. The hand method then kicks in. Now again, if I'm going too fast, go ahead and pause that video. I'm going to divide by 6, copy, paste. So we end up with x is equal to exactly 73.3. 73.3 people. You can't really have 73.3 people, but I'm just going to leave it like that for right now. All right. So now we know that the number of people is 73.33, but what is the cost of that? So we use substitution to plug back in. So we can plug back in to either this equation here, or we can plug back in here. Notice there isn't an x in that top equation. That's because it's a flat rate. So I'm just going to go ahead and use that. 73.3 people is exactly $440. So this is the number of people. Costs exactly $440. So I won't even substitute in there. I'll just use that flat rate. That is assuming that if we bring less than or equal to 80 people, that is going to cost us exactly that. Okay, a couple left here, guys. Hang in there. So we have Oakdale compared to Woodbury number 1. Woodbury number 1 not meaning a separate Woodbury Theater, meaning if we're bringing less than or equal to 80 people. When would these two cost the same? Woodbury number 2, that's if we're going to do, we have extra people coming with, we have to pay $3 per person. So they're not two different movie theaters. Just pay attention to that. So Oakdale, we drop the y on Oakdale is 4x plus 120. And we drop the y on Woodbury is exactly 440. So as we start to solve those then, we want to know how many people can we bring where it's the same cost. So the hand method's going to kick in. Take my hand, cover the variable 4x, and we're going to subtract 120, copy, paste. Working left to right then, if I haven't used it, drag it down. We have 440, take away 120. When we take 440 and subtract 120, we end up getting 320. My job is to get the variable x all alone, so that's what I'm working for using that hand method. So as I start to solve, I'm going to divide by 4, copy, paste. I'm left with 80 people. X equals 80 people. So now looking for, well, how much does it cost if I bring 80 people? Your job is to use substitution, and you substitute back into one of the equations up above. Now Woodbury 1 has a flat rate of less than 80 people, so it's going to just be 80 people is a flat rate of just $440. Otherwise, you can substitute it back into the Oakdale equation, which is y equals $4 per person and $120 beginning amount. You can substitute your 80 in here, so that's $4 for 80 people, $120 beginning amount, so that's $320, $120 beginning amount, and gives you that $440. So either way, 80 people is $440 either theater. So that's just my little check down here that I get that $440 when I come out. Now, the last POI, or point of intersection, we have here is between Oakdale Theater and Woodbury number 2. Again, I repeat, that is not a different Woodbury Theater. It's a different scenario of what happens if I'm bringing more people than 80. Because less than or equal to 80 is that flat rate of $440. But then we have to pay $3 for each additional person. So as I start to do that, I drop the Oakdale equation, which is 4x plus 120. I drop the Woodbury, or the y on the Woodbury 2 equation. So that's that 440 plus 3 times x minus 80. The reason why we're subtracting 80 is we have to take off the first 80 people. We don't have to pay for them again. We already paid for them in the 440 because the first 80 people are part of this price right here. So that we're subtracting off the 80 because the first 80 are free. Using the distributive property then, I'm going to combine like terms. So as I start to solve, we have 4x plus 120 equals 440, we keep that there, plus distributive property gives us 3x plus negative 240. Solving then, combine like terms. So as we start to combine like terms, we have 440, take away 240. As we do that, 440 take away 240 is 200 plus 3x. So we have 200 plus 3x there on the right-hand side of the equation. So we have 200 plus 3x, and on the left-hand side, we have, if you haven't used it, drag it down, which is 4x plus 120. Smallest variable has to go, so we're going to take the smallest variable, which is 3x, and we're going to get rid of it. We're going to subtract 3x. Again, if I'm going too fast, go ahead and pause that video. Hang in there now. We got this. Multi-step equation. Let's work left to right here. 4x take away 3x is 1x. If I haven't used it, drag it down. Working on the right-hand side, we have 200. Our hand method the rest of the way now. Hand method, cover the variable. I subtract 120, copy and paste. Working left to right, if I haven't used it, drag it down. We get x equals 80. So there is a tie at 80 people. We want to know what is the cost at 80 people. So we use substitution. We can plug back into either one of those equations. You can plug it in right here too if you want. It's when you do that. Lost the page, sorry. When you do that, you end up finding out that it is the same price, 440. Notice these answers are the same as they should be, because it should be the same cost of those two theaters with 80 people. Remember, if we exceed 80, there's some additional money in there. So your homework is to finish the next page, which doesn't have anything to do with this. It's just graphing review of straight line graphing. Have a fabulous night, 8th grade.